Welcome back to the Iron Will Collective podcast, episode 16.
That intro this time made it sound like the SWAT team was at the front door.
SWAT team's coming to your front door with info today, with knowledge, and they're going to hit you in the face and maybe even the nuts.
And if you're good, you call the fire department and you can talk to the friendly chief.
Nice guy, nice guy.
Yep. All good fire chiefs have a mustache so you can identify them in the field.
Dude, it's funny, but it's so true. And why is that?
Because a mustache is a sign of wisdom. I just got myself my first thing of mustache wax from my good pal Ian, who unfortunately he has not hit puberty yet, so he cannot grow any facial hair. But one day soon, I will return it to him.
Yeah, I think he was saving that stuff for, like a couple decades down the line. But I mean, dude, you're rocking that full stash right now. Like, you need that stuff.
Yeah, I do. And I told him I'd save some for him, so everything will be good in a couple decades.
There we go. Well, I at one point in time was working on a mustache. Now I'm settling for that sexy stubble.
I don't know. It looks like you got one coming back in right now.
Nah, those are the ants on my face. They just hang out.
Yeah, I got a little syrup left over from breakfast.
Yeah. They call mustaches food savers, but I actually just save food. And
I thought it was flavor saver.
Flavor saver. Oh, that's better. I can't rhyme. I ain't got the time.
Food saver is like those vacuum sealed bags.
Oh, what about that candy?
Lifesaver.
Oh, okay. Okay. And life preservers?
Yes,
Not
that's
a
what
candy.
that's what you would find in the aircraft as your seat cushion.
Man, you're so smart.
Yep, I actually have read a whole book this month. Just kidding, I haven't read my book this month. I'm actually a POS.
Damn, are you behind on your goal?
Yeah, but the next book I have on queue is pretty short, so I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
Like, what is today, the something-teenth?
The 9th.
Oh.
Not too far. That's early in the month still.
Yeah, so, well, I don't understand the numbers between 10 and 20. There's got to be like some sort of conspiracy with 11 because and 12 too. Cuz you got your 13, you got your 14, you got your 15 through 19. What went wrong with 11 and 12? Why not one teen and two teen?
They weren't cool enough.
I guess.
Not anywhere near cool enough. I know in French, the way that they count like anything over 10 is they have to say it out like 10 and 1, 10 and 2, 10 and 3. And they do the same in Spanish too.
Does it come well, yeah, like Dos Equis de Cinco?
Yeah. Yeah, that's 25.
Triple X's.
Taking a guess here.
Yeah, Dos Equis, yeah. Coronavirus, Modelo, yeah.
Well, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. We just finished up a fantastic workout. We have been going very hard for the past few weeks here, punishing our bodies because we want to be outside playing, frolicking with friends, but we can't be. So we're inside the gym, self-flagellating until the lockdown ends.
It's all about life in the pain cage right now. Just myopically focused. We step into the pain cage. We make sure to cry. We make sure to
bleed.
Yeah.
Any sort of excretion of bodily fluids we make happen in there right now.
It has to go down. And every time we're in the pain cage, we make sure to do a few reps for all those homies stuck doing body weight exercises, as we just said earlier.
Again, we mentioned in the last episode, super fortunate to be able to be in the ownership of equipment, whether it be like if you are at home, just have a pair of dumbbells or something, be grateful.
Seriously.
Because some people out there don't have nothing.
Imagine
they be having to row the laundry detergent or something like that. So for everything that you've got in your collection of gym equipment, be grateful.
Yeah, it could definitely be worse if you didn't have anything. Not that that's a really bad thing. It's just, man, Imagine having to think extra hard before every workout. Like,
I mean, you already do need to put a good amount of consideration into your exercise selection based on your goals, what's going to put you on the fast track to get in there. But with body weight exercises, and especially if you don't have like any equipment, like any bands or like a pull-up bar or anything like that, your selections are minuscule.
Yeah.
So a lot of body weight exercises have like a pretty tough level of even like starting to do it in the first place, such as like a handstand push-up or against the wall even.
Yep.
Like that's freaking hard. Like to ask someone who just started working out with conventional methods in the gym to switch over to that on a moment's notice, as has happened. I know it's been about like a month or so now. It's been a little while.
Yeah.
So you have some time to practice, but it's not easy to get right into.
That's tough, dude. There's a huge learning curve, I could imagine, going from like you were saying, conventional lifting in a gym to these different body weight variations. Like we were doing a variation of a one-arm push-up, and that used even that used equipment, but
Yeah, I mean,
right.
yeah, exactly. You can't practice the one-arm push-up the way we were doing it unless you got a pull-up bar and a band at least,
Yeah.
or something like pull-up bar height that you can hook your band on. And we'll be sharing that with you guys soon. But do what you can with what you've got.
Yep.
And remember, again, it's probably more important to just be active rather than like bearing down on your strength and physique goals. Like, yeah, you still can do some work as far as that. But for the people listening to this, most important thing, being active.
Yeah, something's always better than nothing, and we'll say it every single god dang episode, because that's really the goal, is to build and fortify these habits that will sustain you towards a better life down the line and even in the current moment.
Exactly, and habits is a big part of that, because taking a month or 2 months or 3 months away from working out, all right, a month, that's like probably upper limit of the amount of time that you could go without working out and still be able to possibly get back into it in some sort of stride. Like you're definitely it's definitely not gonna be good for you to take a month off, good for the work that you've put in, but maybe your habit is still ingrained enough to be able to get back on it. But 2 months, 3 months, like who knows how long we're going to be out of the gym. That's going to kill a habit. Like if you go 2 months without doing something, unless it's like crack or something that all it takes is like one time to get back into. Because let's be honest, I've never done crack, but I'm sure that it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And that's probably a good enough reason not to do it, because like I put Oreos on the same level as crack. Like that shit should be illegal, because it's so not nutritious. So like in excess, it is actually bad for you. But like just having them around, it's like you don't want to stop eating them. So it's very addicting.
And then you just have way more work to do to get that habit going again. I'll tell you, like, there have been more than one occasions where I took about a month off. Just inconsistencies, life happens, excuses. And what starts to happen is within the first 2 weeks, you start to feel a little small. You start to feel flat. Like, okay, bye muscles. See you later. Maybe. And by week 3, that's when the aches start happening. You've been sitting, you've been kind of neglecting movement in general, and things start to hurt, oddly enough. It's like you'll get sore in weird places without doing anything.
Man, I didn't even consider that.
Yeah, dude, by week 4, like, it's full swing. You might not have like full on aches and pains, but things definitely start to not feel good. And any kind of movement starts to feel pretty rough. So being in those situations multiple times, it always felt like I had just walked into a hole, and like over and over again. Then I'd have to climb myself out of that hole, because it's going to take so much more work just to come back to baseline before, getting back to that level before you stopped lifting.
Yep.
It sucks, man. So I remember the last time that happened, I had that conscious thought where I was like, okay, let's not do this again. It's too much work to get started. It's like you took all this time to build your awesome Harry Potter Lego set, and then you step all over it.
Every day you step on it a little bit.
Every day.
Well, so there's a couple different kinds of habits. So you got your cracked style habits that are super, super easy to start and very, very difficult to quit. And then you've got your habits such as a healthful lifestyle choice, such as exercising, that are super difficult to start and super difficult to get consistent at.
Yeah.
And easy, super, super easy to quit. All you got to do is not do it, and then you're good. It's not like crack. Like, you're gonna be fiending for that. Like, I have never once fiended for a workout. I just know that in my heart, for what I want, I know that I need to do it. So that's why I do it. It's never like I'm shaking because I need to go and lift. So yeah, just different kinds of habits, different ways to approach them. Moral of the story is, by next week's episode, I need every one of our listeners to get themselves addicted to crack.
And while you're at it, maybe throw a workout in.
And an Oreo.
Yeah. More crack on top of the crack.
So what we actually came here to talk about today was the use of highly illegal stimulants as performance enhancement in the gym.
Dude, there was an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where the gang tries to get into working out. And I think it's like Charlie and Mac. And I could be totally wrong because I haven't seen it in a while. But anyway, some of the characters, they go to the gym. And I think they like did some meth before or something. Like, they accidentally did some illegal stimulant and they got super cracked out. Like, they were just off the rails. And so they get to the gym and they're like, my heart's beating so fast already. Does this count as a workout? And they're like, yeah, I think it counts. And they just leave.
So there you go.
They did cardio without
There
even...
you go. Yeah, all you got to do is take a big bong rip of meth, and that's cardio for your day.
Yeah, and you're all done.
Actually, in all actuality, from what I understand about speed-style drugs, is that they will really promote weight loss. Yeah. That is the healthiest way you're going to want to do it, is to develop a dependency on a very questionable substance that has more adverse effects than it does positive ones.
Yeah, look.
So that's the key to weight loss. So they always say there's no hacks. There we go. We got one.
We got one. And look, here's the thing. Not only are you going to lose the weight, you're also going to lose your friends, your family, your job. I mean, all those other things, they're just weighing you down also.
Exactly. These are things that stand between you and your goals. You're going to want to plow it out of the way like some sort of bulldozer. So let's get to it.
Yeah.
Everybody. Let's get to it, collective.
All right, you have a deadline next week.
All right, we need photographic proof, so please send it to one of our various social distancing media platforms, and we will share it with your parents.
Yay.
So, what do we really come here to talk about today, John?
Well, all right, so this one goes out to all the ladies. Hello, lady listeners, Lady Iron Will Collective. I don't really want to keep making that distinction.
Do we have any female listeners?
I mean, I'm going to assume we have at least a few.
I would say, yeah, like 1.5 probably.
I mean, that's a solid number in my mind, like at least 1.5.
These are averages too, so.
Yeah. Well, it's actually like more like 1.48, but we're going to round up and be generous to ourselves.
Yeah, and that's something that we recommend all you do, is to treat yourself every now and then. Mm-hmm. So for the 1.48 female listeners and all the male listeners who may or may not know a female that they could possibly share some of this with, this is for you. This one goes out to you. It's Sunday night slow jams here on Iron Will Collective.
Yeah. Not taking any special requests though. For that fact, last time we did, it went horribly wrong. There was blood everywhere. Free flow, as you call it.
Free bleeding.
Free bleeding. Okay, that's a term I just learned about an hour ago. Yeah, no more free bleeding here right now. Maybe later.
Yeah. So we were actually looking through this Cosmopolitan magazine that my girlfriend had on the counter, and just like, you know, there are no coincidences. We decided before we saw that magazine that we were going to do an episode about training for females and a few to clear up a few misconceptions. And then we found that magazine and we learned about 3 times as much about females as we had known, before we looked at the magazine. So we have come prepared.
Yep.
Girls love, what was it, like string cheese that's like wrapped around cheddar, like cheddar and mozzarella string cheese?
It was what your Starbucks order says about you.
What kind of snack you are.
Based off of your Starbucks
Yeah,
order.
like what...
Yeah.
So I still don't really understand. Oh, wait a minute. Does that mean since I like a latte, that means that I am string cheese?
You are
or
string
I
cheese.
Okay, I am string cheese.
You are string cheese. And
Okay.
then mine was iced coffee equals... Oh, shoot. I don't even remember that
Oh,
one.
come on, man. We prepared so
Okay,
hard.
no, the red eye equals Yoo-Hoo's. You remember Yoo-Hoo's, those drinks?
The chocolate milk?
It's like chocolate milk, but disappointingly, it's not chocolate milk. Every time I've had one, I'm like, ugh, that's not
I
chocolate
haven't
milk.
had one in a really, really long
Oh
time.
man, I used to know people who would just down them. Like they'd buy them by the case and just always had one. It's like this weird, sweetened. It's chocolate colored. That's why you go into it thinking it's gonna be chocolate milk, and it's not. It's like when you sip from a cup and you're expecting like water, but you get Sprite.
Or chewing tobacco spit.
Yeah. Oh, that's my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Reminds me of being home.
Mm-hmm. Sweet home Massatucky.
Massatucky. Yeah, we did learn a lot from that Cosmopolitan.
Yeah, actually, now that we think of it, after saying that we are apparently a string cheese and Yoo-Hoo, I really don't understand anything. Nothing.
There's a lot of differences, I'd say, psychologically, but also a lot of similarities. And that's what I'd like to do with this podcast today.
Yeah, we're going to stick to talking about things we know about. So we're going to steer clear of free bleeding and determining what type of snack you are. We will nary mention a horoscope. Yeah. And let's see here. What else was in that magazine? Oh, yeah. Girls really like sex, according to that magazine, which is disgusting. Absolutely repulsive. If you are a person listening to this who partakes in premarital intercourse for any reason other than dedicated reproduction, then please turn off the podcast because I feel uncomfortable with you listening.
I 100% agree with that sentiment, and I'm going to back you up fully here. Turn it off. Turn it off. Like, we don't need that.
All right. For those of you who are left now, who haven't turned off the podcast, we're going to stay in our lane and we're going to talk about what little about females we understand. And that is free bleeding. No.
I heard it's best when you're in the ocean, usually far away from the shore. Fish like it too.
Yeah, it's same with if you need to pee in the ocean. That's what you're going to want to do. But anyways, all right. I'm going to try really hard not to tell another joke right now. So what we actually wanted to do was clear up some misconceptions revolving around women and weightlifting and resistance training in general, I guess.
Yeah.
One of the top misconceptions being that a lot of women will fear that they will become masculine if they put on some muscle and they will look like freaking Johnny Bravo or something. And this, just to put it simply, is completely false. If you're a guy and you work out hard and you think you're going to come out looking masculine, like, you got another thing coming.
It's going to take a lot of hard work, a lot of time.
You're going to look like a regular ass guy for quite a while, even though, you're going to get stronger. And, that is the most important part, really, is strengthening your muscles, establishing proper posture and proper movement patterns throughout your daily life. That's where the true benefits of weight training are going to come in, is all the other 23 hours when you're not lifting.
Yeah.
And same for women.
Exactly. Same can be said for women. That's honestly, every time I've brought up weight training to any female, well, I don't want to say every single one, but the majority of them. That's been some of the questions that I've had to counter, which was, will I look like a man? Will I stop being feminine? I don't want big muscles. I want to be toned. I go, no, you will not look like a man. You will be feminine, and toning is just another word for muscle gain. So that's what you want in anyway. So it's body recomposition. That's
Toning
the goal.
could also mean something along the lines of changing the pigment of your skin, a la Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Is that the right word? Allah? That sounds
Yeah.
like that Muslim god.
Well, I mean, hey, Allah, the Muslim God, we've got to keep open hearts and eyes here. So,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, it could also mean changing the pigment of your skin, but I don't know how to do that. So I can only help people with making their muscles bigger and therefore toning their arms and their legs. Another one that I often hear was, and it comes from Pilates, and that's lengthening the muscle, which muscles don't actually lengthen. Like you can't change the distance from origin to insertion. That's actually always the same. You can stretch a muscle.
But I guess it does make sense if you are suffering from overly tight muscles in places, then they would be lengthened. Because if you're, like if anyone remembers our posture episode, a lot of deficiencies or issues will come from improper lengths and tension relationships on joints. So that one kind of makes sense.
More sense than toning.
Yeah, toning is just like, what are you, a printer?
Yeah, ain't no printer. I think that just females have this aversion to words that males will often use in regards to building musle. Like they don't want to say
they want to say tone. They're not bulking. They're toning.
Exactly, bulking. That's a perfect example. Like there's nothing wrong with saying that you want to bulk up. We know that you don't want to gain fat. That's obvious. I mean, most people don't.
Exactly. Like anyone who is bulking, that's not their goal is
unless you're a sumo wrestler.
Unless you're a sumo wrestler, yeah. But usually bulking is synonymous with a phase in time where you are eating at a caloric surplus in order to put on muscle.
Right.
Like no one's trying to get fat. I mean, other than maybe someone who's severely underweight, they could use to add some. And of course, when you are in a period where you're trying to put on weight, you're going to put on a little bit of fat. But that's not the goal for 90% of 99 maybe.
Mm-hmm. You know, another thing that I've encountered was women who don't want to lift heavy weights. They really try to stay away from heavy weights and training heavy. So we're talking like anywhere from the 1 to 5 rep range. And so let's say that you've been training consistently for a decent amount of time now. I mean, for example, let's say
30 minutes.
Yeah, 30 minutes your whole life. That's all you've trained and you've been consistent that 30 minutes. Well, then you're ready to step up to 1 rep max.
Yep.
Like right away. No. But people who I've worked with and who we have really, really worked on form and just drilling in the movement pattern itself and making sure that it's efficient, that they know what's up, like what they're supposed to be doing, where they're supposed to be feeling it, what's proper, what's improper, and how they can make adjustments based off of their own unique physical structure. So they know this stuff, but they're hesitant to go for the heavy weights. And that's why I really have to stop and have that conversation about the benefits of strength training as opposed to just staying in the 8 to 12 or 15 rep range, you know, for ever, basically.
And something we were talking about a couple days ago was how training for strength can be hugely important, and particularly for females and older females at that, who may be at risk for some sort of bone issue, such as osteopenia or osteoporosis, the faves, the classics. Training with heavier weights is going to be one of the best ways to treat that and to preferably reverse the negative effects that had been created already. So for our listeners, whatever age you are, it's never too late to start. Even if you are suffering from one of these bone issues already, getting into some heavier weight training can be super, super effective and helping you live a more quality life.
Yeah. I mean, you can only strive to get better by trying.
Yeah, and what else? Like you miss 97.5% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah, every
Sometimes
time.
you make it. Sometimes you make it. Even if you don't shoot it, sometimes you make it.
No, who wants their bones to like get porous and brittle and start breaking on them? No one.
Yeah, it's called the glass bone. Now
Yeah.
that sounds absolutely awful, and a lot of people suffer from this. You know, you wonder why, like when an older person falls and they shatter a hip, it's because of that. Is because over time, the mineral density in their bone has just gone down. Like there's some statistic about it. Like every year after you're like 30 or something, or 30 or 40 or something, like you can lose like 5% of your bone density or bone mass or something like that.
Yeah. That's not even talking about sarcopenia, where you start losing your muscle as well.
And yeah, and that would likely come first, I would assume, because with a sedentary lifestyle, like atrophy will come first before your bones will start to lose their density, and then you could start to look at more severe things like a actual nameable disease.
Yeah. And that stuff sucks. So it seems counterintuitive that lifting heavier weights is actually going to be safer in the long run, but it's really a necessary thing. So I like to tell people that by strength training, they're not just improving or going up on the amount of weight that they can lift within a given lift. They're also reducing their risk of injury, so long as form is good and you really take the time to build up to these heavier and more respectable weights. If you do that, your chance of being injured just, on any type of freak accident, let's say you fall, trip or something, or I don't know, you get into a car accident, your body is stronger and able to tolerate more of that impact. You do get some of these benefits from training in the higher rep ranges, but it's absolutely higher. You get more of the benefits by training heavier.
So yep, it's the principle of specificity. You can think of this as you are performing a dance, because your bones do not communicate with words. They only communicate through dance. And you're doing the dance that is signaling that you would like your body to devote resources toward strengthening these parts, your muscles and your bones.
And cartilage, tendons.
And connective tissue, exactly. So the only way that your body is going to know is like, because it can't listen to you. If you say out loud, tell your body like, hey, get stronger. Hey, get denser bones.
I command you.
Yeah, I command you. You can't do that. You got to do the dance, because it only communicates through dance. And the dances it likes are bench press. That's the only one. Just kidding.
Bicep curls.
Yeah, bicep curls, bicycle curls. Yeah. Yeah, bicycle curl is very popular right now without the gym. But anyways, you've got to communicate what you would like to happen. So, and that is how you do it, is to put some heavy weights in your hand. That is what's going to tell your body to like, oh crap, like we're not used to this kind of load. Just like if you were to go to like Jupiter or something like that, the gravity would be so immense that it would be telling, I mean, yeah, you're going to die on Jupiter, but just for a hyperbolic example is that the gravity would be much greater there, thus triggering your body to need to adapt. Exactly. You're going to need to be stronger in all facets of your vessel.
Right. And that, again, just to backtrack a little bit, that goes for both men and women. So women in particular, that's who we're dedicating this pod to. We just want to make sure that you understand that by lifting these heavy weights, you are not putting yourself in a position necessarily where you will injure yourself right out of the gate. That's definitely a possibility if you go about it unintelligently. But if you do take the time, if you work yourself up, and if you understand the movement that you're doing, you can by all means attempt these heavier weights and not be afraid of it breaking you.
Yep. So for inspiration, just look on the internet for female strength sport competitors, and then crap yourself when you see how much that they're able to lift. Like, of course, take into consideration the supplements that they may or may not be on.
Yeah.
But know that it is possible to I mean, probably, I mean, for me, even like I sometimes try to stay away from thinking less of myself than is actually the potential. But for a woman, especially like thinking like, oh, I'm just a girl, like I'm not gonna be strong. You're probably a hell of a lot stronger than you think.
Yeah, rewrite that story. I just thought of this one lifter that I had seen, and I think I saw her on YouTube first. I don't remember her name. I wish I did, but she's like 16 years old and from France. She's a she's a weightlifting competitor, and my God, like really strong. She's moving more on her squat than I can, and she is much shorter, weighs a whole lot less than I do, and not to mention she's like only 16 or something, 16 or 17. But that's it. It's a lot of it is mental. It's what you tell yourself, the story that you tell yourself in your head. So whether you approach the bar and you go, "Oh, I can't do it," well, then you're right. You're not gonna be
Yeah,
able to do it.
you've already lost.
Yeah, you've decided that it's not going to happen. So decide that it can happen, that there's a possibility if you put in the reps and the effort, and you have a much better chance right then and there. I'd be willing to say you have a 100% chance of lifting something. I
Yeah,
mean,
something heavier than you thought you could. At least.
Exactly.
Yeah, but again, form is paramount. You must establish proper form before attempting anything like this. Before getting into a strength training regimen, you better be good at the movements before you start, because, like John said, if you don't, you'll get snapped up.
Yeah.
And that'll be one of the worst things for your strength goals is to have sustain an injury and then potentially lose your motivation or be afraid or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
But bottom line is that a positive belief in oneself will take you a long way.
yeah, definitely. And so, okay, we'll go on to the next thing here. The one of the biggest differences I can think of between men and women in terms of how they should think about training is men obviously are more testosterone dominant than a woman is. Just natural endogenous production. We make more testosterone because that is our male sex hormone, whereas women produce more estrogen. So recovery wise, this has an impact. Men will be able to typically do more and more often because the testosterone is aiding in the recovery. So that's not to say that a woman couldn't compete or couldn't do the same lifting program as a male.
Yeah, you could adapt.
Exactly. I'm just saying that it would pay to be conscious and aware of the fact that your recovery may be different. And so you have to really address all the different variables in terms of what you're eating, in terms of your rest and your stress levels. I mean, stress and all those things, they're not picky and they'll go after either gender. But women in particular, from my experience, have generally had a harder time when it comes to stress. And I don't know if it's just the people I've experienced, but I mean, I know a lot of ladies out there that just, they take the world on their shoulders and they don't put it down.
We don't know what kind of hormones pumping through them are doing to their thought process too. So like you and I, we have like everybody knows that men and women are like different. They're just different.
Yeah.
And in more ways than just anatomically.
Right.
So and like what the anatomic differences do to their mental state. So I'm not even gonna try to understand what's going through their head as far as that stuff goes, because I can't. But you're definitely right. Like I think that for anybody really to pay close attention to your stress and try to limit that as much, regardless of how fast you're able to recover in the gym, that's always going to be a pro.
Yeah, and there's always fluctuations too. So just knowing that, let's say you have a program, it does not need to be rigid, and it probably does not have to be as rigid as it might be written down on paper. So by allowing some more flexibility into your program, you can take, let's say, time of the month and start to scale back or change the way that you're training. I mean, with men, that's something like a deload week. With women, I'm not too sure, to be honest, here of the specifics of it and what you would have to do differently. I know that women still compete when they're on their period and all that stuff,
But you could be looking at certain side effects, such as water retention,
Yeah.
like mood issues, possibly, even pain, and like actual
Cramping.
discomfort from it. So a lot of things to consider. Stuff that us guys we don't ever have to think about, like that
No.
stuff at least. Yeah, stress definitely, but never have to deal with a menstrual cycle,
Right.
which I'm thankful for.
Yeah, I'm thankful for it too. But a lot of respect to the ladies who go through that stuff, especially the ones who get really bad cramps or, just like debilitating menstrual cycles.
It's
But
been described to me before as like it feels like you have to poop, but you don't have to poop. Like going and pooping wouldn't solve it. And I'm like, that sounds horrible.
imagine that just all day for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it sounds horrible.
So you got to plan for these type of things because the goal, like we mentioned earlier in the podcast, is not to just stop altogether and don't do anything, but adjust your plan, let it be flexible enough so then that way you can go through and do something. Like if that means working out every other day or just toning down on the frequency of your lifting, that's fine as well, so long as you're back again and again continuously and putting another brick in the wall.
Exactly. Consistency is going to be the golden ticket for everybody in the gym and in the kitchen in order to achieve the goals that you want of your body. Like there's no getting around it. You have to be consistent.
That was a good point you just mentioned right there. It got me thinking. You said in the kitchen. So I know this isn't necessarily specific to women again, but it is a pattern I've observed out in the wild, and that's stress eating, especially during the time of the month, or just stressful times in general. So
Yeah, turning to food for comfort.
yeah, I know that we're all guilty of that in some way or another, but I've mostly seen it through, well, it's looked like a girlfriend who's having a rough time and needs that whole pint of ice cream. It's kind of like oh man, it's a cliche at this point,
Oh, man, I
the
hope
box of chocolates, the ice cream, the rom-coms. Like we might be spouting all these things, stereotypes. That's the word I'm thinking of. But stereotypes exist in most part because there's some grain of truth to it, and so we're here to say consistency throughout the whole time of the month, despite whatever you've got going on in your life, is going to pay off more in the long term. And trying not to let yourself go off the rails for too long. I mean, we all derail at some point in time.
Moderation is key with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, how quick can you get back on track? So, man, just really being aware of all that stuff. Let's see. Other differences.
And that's all. We don't know much about females.
We need to talk to more ladies.
Yeah, seriously, like we don't. I mean, we're just gonna scratch the surface in this episode. Of course, there's so much scientific data that is out there that you can look at to really see the difference. So many smart people that have made careers off of this that you can listen to for. But we just wanted to give you a few of the ideas here. So another one is that I can think of would be again, for maybe a significant other, a possible a competition aspect that maybe you'd want to take out of it. Really stressing the importance of a you versus you attitude, other than as opposed to comparing yourself to others. Which for men and women, like, again, if you got the internet, if you got any freaking social media or anything, you're gonna see some beautiful people.
Yeah.
You're gonna see some real handsome guys. You're gonna see some real sexy girls, and you naturally would want to compare yourself to one of them. And that's just, at times it can be all right to maybe give yourself some aspiration, maybe give yourself some goals. But you've got to realize that a lot of the people that you're seeing in these pictures and stuff are like at like the top percentile of like genetics and shit like that, probably on drugs, and
Living the life to the fullest.
yeah, like And also always remember that what you're seeing on these social media pages and stuff like that is that person's highlight tape too. So they're only
Yep.
going to show you their golden hour here.
Yeah.
They're not going to be sharing like
Bloated and
like when they shit their pants the day
Hammered
before or
ass.
something like that. Yeah, I would share that
Triangle hair.
that's real. Yep, triangle hair. Yep. But very important that you keep yourself grounded. You know that this is not a competition. The whole reason you should be wanting to be into fitness and weightlifting is for the health benefits. So getting those stronger muscles, getting those stronger bones, feeling better on the day-to-day basis. Looks are a awesome part of it that will come with it, but comparing yourself to others can get toxic after a while.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Especially because it can make something that is attainable seem unattainable. If you really want it, you can absolutely have it. You just need to understand everything that it's going to take to get there. And when you pull up on Instagram and you've got pictures of these handsome guys, these sexy women.
What about the booties, man? It's all booties on there. So I guess like literally any girl, I'm pretty sure if you put a picture of your ass up on the social media, people are gonna like it.
Oh yeah, by the hundreds, by the thousands.
It doesn't matter what your ass looks like. Honestly, you're gonna find someone who's gonna like it. But that's cheating. Like that's just cheating. That's just like. What would be something that a guy could put up other than a picture of his wiener or the outline of it or something?
Honestly,
I don't know. What do girls like? Like biceps?
I don't know.
Chest?
There was something I read a long time ago about this, and they found that one of the most attractive, or what females were more attracted to on a male, were
Please say male pattern baldness. Please say male pattern baldness.
male pattern legs.
Oh.
Oh, it was the legs. Just legs in general. So
I respect some good tree trunk legs,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
can totally see that. But see, when I look at a picture of a beefcake, I'm appreciating.
buys, tries.
Yeah, just rhomboids. That's all I'm looking at. But no, I like to look at a good beefcake. You know, I don't
Yep,
care.
yep.
Yeah, so what? Yeah, I'm pretty gay. But I would try and put myself in a woman's shoes to be able to look at one of these like models or something like with big old ass, big old titties and stuff like that, and like, you know, super skinny also at the same time somehow.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Small waist. Yeah, it's crazy, and those things are available in abundance online.
Oh yeah.
Very easy
That
to
shit
find
sells.
examples of that.
That people will use that to their greatest advantage to push their agenda.
And all it really is an ideal. And so an ideal it can be seen as a judge, because you judge yourself based off of that ideal. That's comparison. And so there are two ways of looking at it. You can look at your judge and just absolutely despise it and decide that it's too far away, it's too perfect. It's like a normal guy trying to be Jesus or something. It's just not going to happen. Or you can look at it as something to strive towards. And so
You can be Moses.
yeah, I mean, yeah, get real close. Try your hardest. Be really close. So
So that's the old saying goes, is, try to become Jesus. If you don't get there, you'll at least be Moses.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Shoot for the stars. But that's why you can still look at these pictures and you can kind of think of how you are compared to these people, but not drawing an absolute comparison and going, I need to be that. Look at me, I'm so fat or whatever. I'm not, my ass isn't round enough. That's cool. It's not going to be unless you take the steps, so you can strive towards it. Just don't get too obsessed and know that you get what you get. All you can do is keep working for better. So
Yep. And again,
that goes for everyone.
if you're trying to change your body, don't expect any instant gratification.
No, definitely not.
Expect that it's going to take years on end in order to achieve anything worthwhile.
Yep.
But they say nothing good comes easily.
No. Well, that's what people don't see on social media either. Like,
all the hard work behind the scenes.
yeah, I mean, like I said, they're living this as their lifestyle. So the social media influencers, the fit people, the ones that have those amazing, incredible bodies, well, that's because they worked really hard for it. I mean, steroids or not, like you still have to show up every single day. You still have to eat the right stuff. You still have to push through all the plateaus.
The
and keep
pain.
going. Yeah, they're in the pain cage. Like they go to bed in it, they wake up in it, and they just keep going. So that's sustained over a long period of time, and that's why they have what they have. And so it's definitely their right to be able to show it off, but as a comparison, like there is no comparison. You're an apple, they're an orange right now, so you need to focus on yourself.
Yep.
But with that, cool segue into the other one that I thought of was when planning your program, taking into account different aesthetic areas of the body that you'd like to train. So for example, I remember you and I at one point in time were really focusing on widening the shoulders because that gives you that V taper look, right? So if you get the wider delts.
Too bad we failed.
Yeah.
We still look like freaking little Gumby ass pencil boys.
Yeah, pencil boys. Seriously. But okay, if you're a lady, chances are you're gonna want that big round butt.
I feel like that's number one. We got to take a poll though to see like what I would be genuinely interested to like what our peers or female peers would most want to develop. If it like I agree with your theory that the butt would probably be the top place.
Yeah.
But something actually from the females that I've trained with, a greater desire, like I've got very little butt desire. I've got mostly desire to increase strength in the upper body because naturally women are going to have a lot stronger, a lot more muscles in their lower body and in their hips and in their quads and hams than they are going to in their chest, in their back, in their arms. So that has actually been the most common area of concern that I have encountered in my training. So
arms especially. I've heard arms a lot. If it's not butt, it's usually something to do with arms. They'll hold their arm out to the side and
do that tricep jiggle. So okay, that is the perfect segue into something else that I feel is very important to note, and that is the distribution of fat and how that is different from men to women.
Yes.
Men will typically carry the majority of their fat in their torso region. So they'll get a gut and then they'll get some titties.
Yep.
And then they're not going to get a lot of fat on their limbs. They're not going to get, super fat legs or super fat arms to begin with. Like, of course, as you sink down into the depths of obesity, you're going to get fat everywhere. Anyone, men or women.
Everywhere.
But women naturally will carry their fat much more equally spread over their body.
Yeah.
So, of course, women will get a lot in their like hip region in their legs as well. Also in their arms too. So as the limbs are kind of off limits for a lot of guys when they begin to put on fat, for women, it's going to go wherever. It's going to go where it wants to go. So that's why you're going to see, the arm flab be a common thing, or possibly a dreadful syndrome known as pancake ass.
My thighs touch.
Yeah, or any of that stuff. But again, and women are also going to have different body types too. So there are also going to be differences in the way, in particular, that they are going to put on fat and muscle too. So that is definitely something to consider. And knowing that, use that when you're developing your plan. Yeah. Knowing that you're going to be, if you're a woman, you're going to, also before I stop, I want to mention that a healthy body fat range for a female is going to be substantially higher than that of the range for a male. So a good range to be in for a male would be like 12 to 15%. Like you're going to be looking pretty good at 12 to 15%.
Definitely.
For a female, that's up like 25%. So substantially higher.
Yeah, well, you've got breasts, you've got probably a lot more fat in the glutes.
Childbearing hips, they call them.
Yep.
And there's a reason for this, and that's because women need to be at the ready to bear a child, so they need more energy stores on hand.
Yeah.
And knowing this is just like establish how their body's going to work when a woman goes too low, such as a physique competitor or something like that, who's dieted down, sub 10% or something like that. Like I think 8% is like the like bare minimum for women to get to. Yeah, absolutely freaking shredded. But if a woman stays at that low of body percent for too long, there can be some serious issues that can arise from it, including like completely losing your menstrual cycle. You get fucked up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
a lot
definitely
of hormonal
consider
changes.
That. Yep.
Another thing that I want to make note of is the fact that you cannot spot reduce fat. So that's
Come on, man. I just bought this freaking electric zapper that I stick on my belly.
Oh no, you got the arm cuffs, the zapper.
The serum.
Yeah, oh yeah, you got to rub the serum everywhere. Spot reduce everywhere. Well, you can spot reduce everywhere. It's called working out. It's called having a well-balanced program and a diet, basically. Well, a nutrition plan that you can stick to that is making sure you're not in a caloric surplus and allowing you to lose some of that weight. So that's the thing though. You can hold out your arm and jiggle your arm and show me your arm fat. I'm still going to give you the same routine that I would if you were jiggling your butt fat.
Yeah, you cannot target it. So word of advice, if you encounter any fitness person, professional or not, that is telling you that they have a plan where you can spot reduce fat, you can target
tone
fat
your
loss.
arms now.
Yeah, like you should already take every word that they say with a grain of salt, but you should take this with salt and pepper, because this person is probably looking to scam you here.
Yeah, and it's nothing against your hopes and dreams. I know it's terribly inconvenient to learn if this is your first time learning this, that you cannot spot reduce fat. I'm a victim of it too. I remember at one point in time I was looking down at my belly. I was like, man, I need to spot reduce this fat right here on my lower belly and behind my hips. See, I'm a guy. That's where I put my fat on. So if you're a lady, you're probably looking at your arms or your hips or your thighs, something like that. Moral of the story is you can't spot reduce, but you can reduce overall. So just kind of going back a little bit here, backtrack, and I'll say it again. You need a well-rounded program that is going to address body recomposition as a whole. So that's really the goal. It's to gain muscle and lose fat.
Yeah, if you can do that at the same time, you're really being efficient.
Yeah.
So the key to spot reduction is a caloric deficit chronically, and you just gotta wait until whatever that, like, keep that deficit until that spot of fat that you want to be gone is gone. That is how you spot reduce.
And we're not talking like 1,000 calorie deficit.
Yeah, make it manageable on yourself, because that's
Exactly.
not sustainable.
No, if it's going to be long term and you're going to finally get rid of those flabby arms, then it's going to take some time, at least if you want to do this right, because that's another thing. And I think I honestly blame a lot of the magazines and media.
Freaking Cosmopolitan.
Yeah, with their yo-yo dieting. So it's been recommended so much. And I know that women talk amongst each other and they share tips and tricks. Oh, I'm on the cantaloupe diet.
Hey, I can show you how to get an eating disorder real quick.
Yeah, that's what happens. And so that you end up yo-yo dieting and hating not just the way you look, but the way you feel. And then eventually you hate the process, and it becomes this negative, vicious cycle in which you have just basically accepted the fact that you're never going to look and feel how you want to. But that's not the case. Just be intelligent about it. Set a long-term goal and not a short-term goal. Look, if you need to lose 50 pounds for the wedding next week, that's on you. You should have started a year ago.
You're screwed. You're screwed.
Like, that's not a realistic expectation. And I'm here to bust that bubble and say, no, you're going to show up and be at the weight that you're at. You know, maybe you'll lose a few pounds if you're lucky.
You made your bed, you've got to sleep in it.
Exactly. And just be accepting of that, but realize that, like we said earlier, it's never too late to start. So just start
Yep.
and then try to ride that train as long as you can. When you derail, it's not if, but when you derail, how quickly can you get back on track? So you keep building these habits. Come on, ladies. Come on.
Try to look at the whole spectrum of things, your diet, your exercise, your recovery, and try to make sure things are headed in the right direction a higher percentage of time than not. And I'm not talking like 60%. You want to be like, I think 80%. Shoot for 80%. Leave yourself 20% to F off, to have a piece of pizza, to skip a day at the gym. But make sure that 80% of the time you're doing what you know you need to be doing in order to yield the benefits that you seek. Because if you don't do that, maybe you'll reach your goals in a much more extended amount of time.
Yeah.
Or maybe you won't. Maybe you'll end up spinning your wheels and continuing to be frustrated, getting on and off diets, on and off exercise routines. And you basically just got to realize that this shit's not going to be easy. This shit's going to take a long time. Like, get
used to the
into your
discomfort.
head. Yeah, exactly. Try to find a way to enjoy the discomfort.
Yeah.
And that will even put you in a better place. But it's hard. Nobody's going to sugarcoat that. Nobody who has honestly gone through it and knows what it's like is going to tell you it's easy. And if they do, they're freaking lying, because it requires discipline, dedication, and you're just grinding is really what it is.
At least for a while. I mean, after a certain point, it may become enjoyable if that's what you try to make it. I mean, you can go and try and hate it for the rest of your life, and sure, you're going to hate it. But
if you're doing it, then that's awesome. I don't care if you hate it. If you're consistently doing it, you're going to love the results. You may hate doing it, and that might make it a little bit harder on you. But if you can, like for me, when I used to have a job, I hated showing up. I hated it. I hated everything I did. But I showed up every single day because I knew that's what I needed to do at the time. So same thing with exercise, is you just got to realize your priorities here. Like with the job, it's like, okay, I hate this, but I need the money. So I'm going to keep going.
there was a benefit.
Yeah, exactly.
And there was so many benefits here.
Yep. With exercise, the benefits are far more valuable than any money could ever bring to you.
Yeah.
So
you can't buy the results.
Exactly.
You can't buy the benefits.
Yeah, just think about that. Like, so much more valuable than money.
Yeah.
Like, people could hand you a block of gold and be like, hey, stop exercising. I would give it back.
Yeah, definitely.
Be like,
man.
nah, I'm good.
No, that just really goes to show like how impactful consistent exercise and just, I don't know, striving to be a fit individual is.
This is nothing new here.
Nope. I have this quote here. I'm going to pull up on my phone super fast. If I can't find it in 30 seconds, then we're not going to read it. But it's something that I went back to a lot, especially when I started working out, because like I said, I compared myself often, especially to like the dudes I'd see in the bodybuilding magazines, and even like teenagers who were roughly my age or younger. And at first I'd get like the feelings of jealousy or envy and be like, oh man, I want that. But after a while I realized that's stupid. No amount of jealousy or envy is ever going to move me closer. And so I came across this quote, and it's a little bit cliche, because if you've ever looked at fitness related quotes, you've probably read this one, but I'm going to bust it out right now. Okay. And I don't know who said it. But
An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Shit. You guessed it. No. A well-built physique is more than vanity. It reflects you worked hard for it. No money can buy it. You cannot inherit it. You cannot steal it. You cannot borrow it. Cannot hold on to it without constant work. It shows dedication. It shows discipline. It shows self-respect. It shows dignity. It shows patience, work ethic, passion. That's why it's attractive to me. And so for me, the most impactful parts were the bits at the beginning, and that you can't buy it, can't inherit it, you can't steal it. Like, doesn't matter how rich you are. Like, if you're Jeff Bezos, if you want to be ripped, guess what, bro? You've got to work out.
Yeah, you can't buy it. But the thing with a desirable physique is that you're basically leasing it, because you got to pay for it consistently.
Yeah.
So the minute you stop paying for it with your efforts and consistency in the gym and in the kitchen, you lose it. Like, it's going to start to go. It's going to start to slip. So you never be satisfied, never settle. Like if you are at a place where you're like, all right, I got my body exactly where I want it to be, guess what? You're going to need to keep doing what you did to get you there in order to maintain that. If you think that, all right, I've reached the apex and now I can coast down this hill. Nah, you start coasting, your shit starts to go back to the way it was before.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah. So it's a lifelong thing. You got to be committed.
Well, it's like what we said earlier in this pod is that when I'd go through those like month-long moments of not working out and just becoming super lazy, sedentary, just inactive, the muscles would go, the gains would go, and I'd continuously have to start from day one, like day zero. I'm gonna say day zero. Like that's the very, very, very beginning. So yeah, you are leasing it. That's a cool way of putting it.
Yeah, you've got a lot to lose. Like once you build something like that, you've got a lot to lose. Like regardless of what it is that you build. I don't care if you've been working out for 6 weeks and you have just, learned how to be proficient with an amount of lifts. You can lose that. It's lifting is not quite like riding a bike. No. You could get back on a bike and knock off the rust pretty quick, but with lifting, it's not like you can knock off the rust and then your muscles are going to be underneath it. You knock off the rust and guess what? You're going to have to build everything that you already built once before.
Yeah.
So
it goes faster.
Do yourself a favor. Yeah. It may come back faster the second time, but if you can avoid it, don't go down that road.
No, in all circumstances requires a lot of effort. So you could start over dozens of times, but why go through that? Because that's taking just as much, if not more, and I'd be willing to say more energy to start over again and again and again, because that takes getting yourself into the right mindset. It takes making changes, and change is difficult. It takes organizing what your plan is, nutritionally speaking, physically speaking. It takes so much more than to just start and try not to stop.
Exactly. Yep. But you can learn a lot about yourself in doing that, and you can seriously appreciate the pride that comes with it.
Yeah.
Because it's not a lot of people. If it was easy to do, everybody would be walking around all sexy and buff with big asses. But that's not the way it is. So again, do what you can with what you got. Follow your goals. Do what makes you happy. Do what makes your life meaningful, and don't let go of that. Hold on to positive habits that are going to result in a potentially longer and higher quality life, and enjoy it.
Yeah, and man, we came full circle.
We did. So we were just about all out of time today. If I could talk, I'm glad I waited till the end of the episode to stop knowing how to. But do you have anything you'd like to add? Yeah, English second language.
No, kind of just recapping that whether you're male or female, that there are a lot of similarities when it comes to not just the habit of working out, but also the intricacies of working out and programming. With that being said, there are subtle differences and things to take note of. So, for example, the monthly fluctuation of hormones, managing stress levels, working out for a more specific aesthetic. So, if you're a female and you want a certain figure, then choosing exercises that will accentuate those body parts, but also knowing that there's no such thing as spot reduction when it comes to losing fat anywhere on your body. It's just going to take a well-rounded approach, and like our favorite thing to talk about, consistency.
Yep. That's, probably the most important thing to talk about when it comes to success in any endeavor in life is to stay consistent. Don't let a failure knock you off track. Yep. Learn from it, get back on it, and what you want will be had if you make the efforts. So with that, next week we will be doing an hour-long episode on how to make a meatloaf. And anything else, John?
No, I'm excited.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. Again, if you have any questions about any of this, please do not hesitate to reach out. Have a great night.
Good night.